Welcome to Nice and Blunt. I'm Adam Riancho, and it's Monday. As always, time to make some win-loss picks for Week 10. Before we do that, we take a look at last week's calls, where I was right, where I was wrong, and these are my picks. Sadly, this is one of my worst weeks of the season. We are hoping that the Cowboys win tonight just to go 500, 7-7. So, got a little too bold, definitely got humbled this week. I did not do well, sadly. We have a losing record at the moment. 6-7 going into Monday night. Not impressive at all. So let's frame this recap this week based on the poll results. Y'all had a much better record than I did. And kudos to you. Y'all pick up 3 correct games on me. So these are the poll results in Week 9. Y'all take the Ravens as obvious favorites. They completely demolished the Dolphins as expected. The Bears did get the win, but that game was very close, really entertaining, back and forth, and if the Bengals defense could just tackle a tight end, maybe they would have won, but boy, their defense just really sucks. So Cincinnati loses as expected, but shockingly, the Lions lost, and no one really trusted J.J. McCarthy and the Vikings. So maybe it was just McCarthy playing in Michigan. The vibes were good enough. He had the confidence to get the job done. Maybe protecting him from Jesse Minter's defense, who probably would have exposed him against the Chargers. Maybe is the element of surprise they needed. In division, JJ gets his second win of the year. So good for the Vikings. No one saw it coming. Less than 10% voted for the Vikings. In Green Bay, very few people saw that one as well. Most people overwhelmingly sided with Green Bay. I also picked the Packers to win, but I didn't think they would win overwhelmingly. The point spread was by 2 touchdowns, and I did take Carolina to cover, but not to win. They shocked me as well, and the Packers played just as shitty as their uniforms. They looked gross as fuck on television. Maybe they also felt disgusting on the inside, but they played like shit. They looked like shit. The Packers deserve to lose. The Patriots got the win. That game was pretty close, actually. Drake London surprisingly was unguardable. I thought Christian Gonzalez was a good corner, but it did not matter. The Patriots passing on Parker Romo for Andy Borregales was the right call in the end. So Patriots get the win. A close, entertaining game, but a 1-point victory nonetheless by New England. But in New York, one of my boldest calls on the week was incorrect. Y'all did side with the Niners, and that was the correct side. I was dead wrong on this one. I trusted the Giants way too much. Jackson Dart did not step up as I expected, but the Chargers tried their hardest to cough up this game, but the Titans just sucked that much. The Chargers coughed up a pick 6 and a special teams touchdown. They did not cover the spread, but they did get the win as expected. Chargers beat the Titans. In Pittsburgh, though, we were both wrong. I took the Colts as well, and y'all sided with Indy. Jonathan Taylor did not show up in the Steelers' defense. Finally woke up. So good for Pittsburgh. They were in peril of losing their division lead, and thankfully they get the win over the Colts. They remain atop of that division. So Pittsburgh still a contender for the playoffs, but I still think the Ravens are better in the long run. The Rams got the victory, massive win. Big blowout over the Saints, so the poll was correct, exactly what we thought would happen. In Houston, y'all were correct. Y'all took Denver, and maybe if Stroud didn't get concussed, perhaps they would have scored more than 15 points, but Bo Nix gets another fourth quarter comeback win. Good for Bo Nix. I'm done disrespecting them. The Broncos are legit. I'm going to stop betting against them, at least for one more week. But the Raiders, I did pick over the Jaguars. Y'all took Jacksonville, and that game was so effing close. I almost had this one right, but sadly Geno Smith had that pass batted down. Looks like Brock Bowers, though, was wide open. That 2-point conversion was a few inches from hitting. Sadly, though, the Jaguars defense made a great play, and I was wrong. So a 1-point loss for the Raiders in overtime. It was almost a 1-point win. Y'all do pick up another game with that correct call. So where we differed was the Niners, the Broncos, and the Jags. Y'all picked up all 3 this week, and sadly, I am much, much worse than y'all this week. But I took the Chiefs in this game. Y'all could not decide. The poll slightly favors Kansas City, but by less than half a percentage point, and the poll ultimately does show 50-50. at the end of the day. So we will give it to you, the tie on this Bills-Chiefs game. Not wrong, but also not correct. A tie yet again. That's the third tie in 3 weeks in the poll results for y'all. So a half game is what you pick up. I go with Kansas City. I was wrong. And as a Charger fan, I'm not upset to be wrong. Anytime the Chiefs lose does make me happy. But I was right. Y'all were right as well on the Seattle Seahawks and Commanders game. The Seahawks completely put on a clinic, and their passing game was on display. Love that Torrey Horton had a breakout with 2 touchdowns. My boy Torrey Horton was one of my better calls on the week. I did start him in my fantasy lineup. 18.8 points. Never felt so good. But last game of the week, we were both in agreement. We are both taking Dallas tonight. And boy, I need this one to be correct. Just to go 500, I am counting on the Cowboys defense. So let me know in the comments. I'm sure you'll let me know if I was wrong, but hopefully I go 7-7. That is not impressive though. Y'all go 10-3-1 and pick up some important ground on the season-long record. Y'all are now 86-44-4, and I am 81-52-1. So I'm now 5 games back, 3.5 games, sadly, y'all did pick up in this week 9 win-loss pick schedule. So I was starting to crawl my way back. I was down by as low as 7 games. I believe it was back in week 4. I was pretty down in the dumps, but I had been crawling my way back. I was within a half game at one point, but since then, especially after this week, I am now down to 5 fewer correct. You guys have 3 more ties than I do, so all in all, a 6.5 game difference, and we'll see what happens in week 10. But against the spread, I didn't have anything special again. I go 500 once again. Without week 3, I am literally a 500 better this season. I would be exactly at 500 if not for week 3. But in week 3, I went 0-6, and that's what's holding me back this year. I am 24-30 on the season. I am having a hard time getting out of that hole I dug myself into back in week 3. So these were my picks this week. I was wrong on the Chargers covering. The Giants was also an incorrect pick. That one wasn't close. I did take the Rams overwhelmingly. That one was right. At least they won by blowout. I also took the Raiders to cover. That one was a 1-point game. Almost won it straight up, but at least Raiders +3 did cover my ass. But lastly, the only one I got correct otherwise was Carolina. Getting almost 2 touchdowns felt like such an easy no-brainer pick. +13.5, that one was an easy one, but sadly I was duped. Indy -3 I thought was a very good pick, but sadly not even close. So all in all, 3-3 this week, 24-30 on the season. I'm tired of going 500. I need to pick up on those 6 games I lost in week 3. So that's it for the recap. Let's move on to this week's slate of games and wipe it clean. I got humbled last week and I need to bounce back. That is for sure. So there are 4 teams on bye, 14 games to pick from. The teams inactive this week include Cincinnati, Dallas, Tennessee, and Kansas City. All 4 of those teams are not playing in week 10. But on Thursday night, we have a divisional matchup between the Denver Broncos and the Las Vegas Raiders. And I mentioned it, I'm done disrespecting the Broncos. There is no way I'm expecting them to lose to the garbage Raiders in division. Everyone in this division beats up on Las Vegas. The Broncos will be no exception. Even though it's a short week and Bowers looks really good, I'm not going to bet against Bo Nix and Sean Payton. The Geno Smith experience will cough up the game one way or other. So I'm definitely taking Denver even without Pat Surtain. I trust their defense to play well, and I also trust their offense to keep the Raiders at arm's length. The point spread is 10. I assume they'll win by double digits. Give me Denver 100% over Las Vegas. But on Sunday morning, we have a game in Germany, in Berlin. The Colts are hosting the Falcons, and this will be a great game for the running back matchup, Jonathan Taylor versus Bijan Robinson. And last week, both players weren't impressive. Bijan has kind of been shit in the bed for 2 weeks in a row now. So maybe the Colts are going to wake up, but I found it interesting that their first real test in an outdoor game, the Colts offense looked like shit. If you look at their schedule, their only other on-the-road outdoor game was a 41-20 win over Tennessee, but we don't count Titans games as real tests. Otherwise, every single game for Indianapolis has been won indoors. And maybe that's one of the reasons why they didn't play as well as they did earlier in the season. Their schedule rest of the way has a lot of outdoor games, and maybe that's their kryptonite. Maybe Jonathan Taylor does not play as well if it's not indoors. So maybe I'm reaching, maybe it has no relevance at all. Maybe the Steelers are just that good, but I find it hard to believe that the Colts are just looking like dog shit all of a sudden. So I could see them bounce back. I believe that they're the better team, but to be honest with you, the Falcons are just so random, and every time you completely expect them to play well, they shit the bed, and then when you write them off, they do step up and at least keep it close. So I think the Falcons will not sleep on this matchup. They have to go all the way to Europe, and against Jonathan Taylor, I think Bijan really cares about this duel between the two running backs. I think he looks like the more elite player, and I believe in Bijan Robinson more than Jonathan Taylor. So despite a lot of question marks surrounding Michael Penix, I think Drake London looked too unguardable last week, and I know for a fact that the Colts defense is terrible at stopping the pass. I think London and Bijan will get the job done. I'm going to take the Falcons over the Colts in Germany. They got the color scheme right. The German flag has red and black in it, and I think they might have the home field on their side. Maybe the Colts have to go silent count instead of the Falcons. So I will take Atlanta. Doesn't feel like a safe call. I need to pick up some ground on y'all. I assume that most of the poll results will favor Indianapolis. I think it's a toss-up. I'm willing to be wrong. I'm going to go with the bolder selection and go Atlanta beats Indy. I think the Falcons will get the job done. In Germany, give me Atlanta over the Colts. But in Chicago, the Bears are hosting the Giants, and the Giants without Cam Skattebo, I do not trust anymore. I thought maybe they could rally without him, but against the Niners defense, that is not a tough test at all, and they didn't even come close to hanging with San Francisco. So given the Ben Johnson offense has been really effective this season, a minimum of 21 points in every single game, I trust them to at least keep the bar pretty high. I do not think Jackson Dart can clear it all on his own. So I like what I'm seeing from Ben Johnson. This Bears team believes they can win, and if they continue to run it down your throat like they have been since the bye week, I trust them to win time of possession, and I do not trust Jackson Dart to come back and rally. So give me the Bears. I'm going to trust Caleb Williams at this stage of his career without any turnovers expected. I trust them to hold off the Giants. They'll keep them at arm's length and score enough to get the win. Give me Chicago at home. Bears defense will step up. In Miami, the Dolphins are hosting their bitter rival, and they never beat Josh Allen. There is no chance in hell I'm taking the Dolphins, even at home, against the Bills. The Bills have their kryptonite. Josh Allen going to look like Superman. And as always, the Bills will completely demolish Miami. Last time these two teams played, it was a bit closer than we thought. Dolphins emptied the playbook, and they will put up a good fight, but ultimately Tua will cost them at least one too many mistakes. And the Bills defense, if they show up like they did against Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, will really look good. So trusting their offense, their defense should play well enough. They'll at least get one turnover. Give me the Bills overwhelmingly over the Dolphins. No chance in hell I'm taking the Dolphins at this point in time. No chance. They beat Buffalo. In Minnesota, a very fun game here. The Vikings are hosting the Ravens, both purple franchises in Minnesota. Purple Rain all day long. But the Ravens are still in desperation mode. Despite winning their last two games, they really have no room for error. I think they can only afford to lose one game. If they go 10-7, I think they could lose on tiebreakers for a wildcard spot. So they have to win. And even though JJ McCarthy won his second in-division game, I still don't trust him. The JJ McCarthy experience still has not convinced me that he is elite. So I'm going to bet against them. I think with extra time to prep, extra rest for Lamar Jackson, he should be healthy off that hamstring injury, and he should run the ball a little bit more in this matchup. So I like the Ravens offense more. I trust them a bit extra, and their defense is starting to step up. If they can limit the run game, then I don't think JJ McCarthy will be able to overcome the firepower of the Lamar Jackson offense. So I will take Baltimore over Minnesota, and I don't feel like it's even a question. I don't fully trust JJ McCarthy, but if he proves me wrong again, I will start to give him the credit he deserves. I will stop hating on McCarthy if he can beat the Ravens. But despite their home field advantage, I just don't think it's going to be enough. I think Marlon Humphrey and Kyle Hamilton will pose some problems in the passing game, and Jefferson will be limited enough not to compensate for the avalanche of points I'm expecting from Baltimore. So Vikings have a decent defense, but it's not going to be enough. Give me the Ravens on the road. The Ravens can't really afford the loss, and I don't think it'll come. I think the Ravens will cruise to victory. In New Jersey, we got the Jets hosting the Browns in the grossest matchup of the week. If you thought Bears Giants was gross, this one is disgusting. So I am not excited to watch this game, but I am not afraid to bet on it. I definitely trust the Browns defense far more than the Jets defense. The Jets only beat the Bengals because the Bengals defense is absolute garbage, and Breece Hall had the game of his life. So I don't really even trust Breece Hall to be active for this game. I could see them trade him away by the deadline, and it's possible that we get Isaiah Davis as the starter, but I doubt that'll happen. I think those are just rumors. I assume Breece Hall and Justin Fields will be available for this game. I also think Garrett Wilson will come back, so that's definitely going to help their offense, but I just haven't seen enough from the Jets defense to especially stop the run, and that'll be a problem against Quinshon Judkins. Assuming Judkins is healthy, he did get banged up 2 weeks ago, but off the bye, I think he'll be good to go. I would trust the Browns defense to limit the Jets to less than 20 points, and Judkins to put them in field goal position enough to get the job done. I'm going to take Cleveland off the bye, even though the Jets are coming off the bye. I think the Browns have the better roster, especially on defense. I think they're better coached. So that's the tiebreaker, the coaching staff and Quinshon Judkins. Myles Garrett going to give Justin Fields a lot of problems. Give me the Browns in a close, low-scoring game over the Jets. Very close call here, but I'll take the Browns over New York. In Tampa Bay, very entertaining matchup. Cannot wait for this one. Baker Mayfield hosts Drake May, and the Bucs are coming off a bye, but both teams are a bit injured overall. Ramondre Stevenson, a key piece, not going to help them. The Bucs run defense is really going to shut down Travion Henderson and Terrell Jennings. So if the Patriots can't run the ball, they're going to need their deep threats. And without Kayshon Boutte, I worry that Drake May is not going to connect with Pop Douglas as often as he did last week. So the Falcons hung around. The Falcons almost came back to win. And I think the Patriots are going to keep this close enough where Baker can get the best. If he gets the final possession, I think Baker will get the job done. And I think Baker, coming off the bye week, will play very well. So Tez Johnson going to step up. Maybe Sterling Shepard steps up. But if Drake London looked that unguardable, then what will Emeka Egbuka be able to do on the Patriots at home? So I like the Bucs in this game. Even if Bucky Irving doesn't return, I think Rachaad White can still play well. And I just don't trust the Patriots to run the ball at all in this matchup. So if Bucky comes back, then the Bucs are definitely my pick. But even without him in a closer matchup, I still think the Bucs will get the job done. A field goal at the buzzer will decide it, but give me Tampa Bay over the Patriots in Week 10. I think the Bucs get the win off the bye. In Carolina, the Panthers coming off that emotional high of beating Green Bay. An impressive victory. I think they keep it rolling. I do not trust New Orleans at all. So even in division, sometimes these games are weird, and maybe the Saints defense steps up. The Panthers can still shit the bed. That wouldn't shock me entirely, but I do think they're much better than New Orleans. The Panthers are close to like a 500 team. The Saints are vying for a top 3 overall draft pick. So I'm going to trust that those trends will play out this week. I'm going to take Carolina as clearly the better franchise at this point in time than New Orleans. I trust their quarterback a bit more, but mainly I trust their run game. Kamara isn't doing shit, and Rico Dowdle looks unguardable. So going to trust Dowdle. I'm expecting another 150 yards on the ground from the Panthers, and against the Saints, that should win time of possession. That should win the game. I'm trusting Carolina at home over the Saints. In Houston, the Texans are hosting Jacksonville, and without CJ Stroud, I assume he'll miss with a concussion. So Davis Mills really needs to step up. I like that he was funneling targets to Nico Collins overwhelmingly. That's definitely what this offense needs to do. He's by far their best playmaker, and the Jaguars don't have the secondary to really stop him. So Jags have a weakness and it can be exploited. If Nico Collins really torches them, I don't think it'll be a close game at all, because the Texans defense is still fully healthy. The Texans defense is one of the best, if not the best, in the NFL. And if they can hold Denver to less than 20 points, I would assume they hold Jacksonville to maybe even less than 10. So I don't trust Trevor Lawrence. They almost lost to the Raiders. And in division, anything can happen. They catch a break with Davis Mills under center. But I think the Texans are so desperate for wins at this point, their defense will step up, will clamp down. And the Jaguars, without Travis Hunter, will not stop Nico Collins. So I'm going to take Houston. I think Nico is the difference here. I trust the Texans defense. I kind of feel like the Jaguars are starting to fall apart, but maybe not entirely. Maybe I'm wrong here. This one is a true toss-up, but I'm going to side with the home team. The Texans need the win a little bit more than the Jaguars do. Give me Houston over Jacksonville in Texas. In Seattle, the Seahawks are hosting Arizona, Battle of the Birds here, and the Seahawks are looking like a legit playoff contender. I trust them to at least make a wild card spot by the end of the year. The Cardinals, I can't say that at all. Cardinals, I have no faith in, and maybe they get the job done over Dallas, but the Cowboys defense pales in comparison to what the Seahawks have on that side of the ball. So Seattle defense will step up. Well, they have lost a lot of games lately at home. I think with that Houston win under their belt, they've turned the corner, and hopefully their home field advantage will come back to them. So I just don't see it, whether it's Kyler or Brissett under center. The Cardinals offense is just missing a little je ne sais quoi. And right now the Seattle offense is rolling. Sam Darnold looks unstoppable. So if they have the defensive advantage and the offensive advantage, they need a miracle to lose. And I'm definitely not picking against the Seattle Seahawks. They will continue to roll. I picked them to win the division back in August, and right now that's not looking like a bad call. The Seahawks are definitely contending for the division title. So Seattle gets the win, a key win in division, definitely going to help their case when the tiebreakers factor in late in the year. So I'll take Seattle, that's for sure. In San Francisco, I think the Rams are going to come back with revenge. They lost that first game on Thursday to the backup Niners roster. And despite the Niners getting much healthier since that point, I think Brock Purdy might return this week. I do not trust the Niners to sweep the Rams. That loss really impacted Sean McVay and really offered a pivot point in their season. They've played really elite football since that L, and I think with the recent bye week, they had some extra time to prep here. They will bounce back and get the revenge win on the road at San Francisco. I just don't see them getting swept in this tight, contentious, competitive division. I think they'll split the series, give me a win for LA. I believe the Rams are a better team than the Niners. At least their defense is healthy, and I don't expect them to sleep on this opponent like they did the first time. But Shanahan does have McVay's number, especially in the regular season. Shanahan usually gets the win. I could see it goes the other direction, but I will trust that the Rams do not get swept. Give me LA over San Francisco in this matchup. In Washington, a brutal loss for the Commanders. Jaden Daniels goes down with an arm injury, and it looks like he's out for the year. So Mariota will get the start, and given that the Commanders dealt the Lions their playoff loss last year, this game means a lot to Detroit, and I can't imagine off the Vikings loss they sleep on this opponent at all. So they're hungry for the win. They want revenge. They want to end the Commanders season and remind them what it felt like when they ended the Lions season off the bye in the playoffs. So that was a brutal, stinging L. I'm sure they remember it, and they will definitely overcome and get some revenge here. The Lions schedule is brutal the rest of the way, but in key spots, in matchups like this, I think they'll get those critical wins that probably keep them in the playoff picture. So give me the Lions to win off that loss to Minnesota. I don't think they lose 2 in a row. Give me the Lions over Washington to get the dub. In LA on Sunday Night Football, in primetime, the Chargers are hosting the Steelers, and I wanted to go to this game, but honestly, the price markup was literally like triple or quadruple what tickets normally are, and I just don't think it's worth it, because odds are this game is going to have a shit ton of Steelers fans. There's a lot of them in LA, and they will be in attendance overwhelmingly in this game. So who cares that it's a home game for the Chargers? The home field advantage will be well out the window. I would assume it's going to be 80-20 Steelers fans, if not more. So a lot of terrible towels. The Chargers have to go silent count. And with Joe Alt suffering a season-ending injury, I just don't see it. The Chargers have an uphill battle here. And the Steelers just beat the Colts. And the Colts really dominated on the Chargers with no Joe Alt. So I think the Steelers will win. Maybe the Chargers offense is just that good. I'm sure they'll hold their own, but I just don't see the turnovers happening to favor the Chargers winning, and their defense will not step up enough. The Steelers will be able to tee off in the pass rush on LA. So no Joe Alt, no Omarion Hampton. I just don't trust the O-line enough. I'm not going to side with LA. I've been to way too many Chargers home games and left a loser. I would assume this is another one of those games, and I did not want to spend $1,000 to sit in my typical seats to watch them lose to Aaron Rodgers. So give me the Steelers. I believe the Steelers will win. The home field advantage definitely going to play a factor. An advantage for Pittsburgh turns into a road W. Give me Tomlin in primetime as a road dog. He usually steps up. Give me the Steelers to get the win. But on Monday, the last game of the week, is a very fun matchup. The Packers hosting the Eagles in a potential NFC Championship game preview. This will be a fun one for sure. It's a bummer that the Packers just lost Tucker Kraft because they're going to need him. The Eagles just signed another pass rusher and are also coming off a bye. I think this is a very good spot for the Eagles, but the Packers, off an embarrassing loss, should bounce back. I would assume they look closer to like what they looked like against Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers 2 weeks ago, rather than the dog shit performance we saw against Carolina. So this will be a very close game, a true toss-up. It could really go either way. But off of the bye week with the tush push in their favor, I am going to take the Eagles. The Packers are still atop the conference, can still afford to lose. However, the Eagles with extra prep time should look really good. And if they're getting another really good pass rusher, that's going to be a nightmare to cover. So the Packers offensive line has dealt with some injuries this season. For the most part, they're healthy, but I have a hard time believing that with Jalen Carter healthy and perhaps even Nolan Smith coming back with the addition via trades and free agency lately, I could see the Eagles just rush with 4 and really give Jordan Love some problems. With 8 DBs, it's going to be hard to throw on Philly, in my opinion. So I think this is a run game for both teams. And in my opinion, the still better running back is Saquon Barkley. So despite Josh Jacobs looking okay this year, he has been very inefficient. So is Saquon, but off the bye, I think the rest really helps them. I will take the Eagles over Green Bay, even in Lambeau. I'll take Jalen Hurts to get the win, but I don't feel good about this. This is a true coin flip. I could see it going the Packers' direction for sure. So we'll see what happens, but a truly entertaining matchup here. Can't wait to watch this one. This one will be fun. So give me the Eagles. Those are my win-loss picks in week 10. There's 4 teams on bye. The Bengals, the Cowboys, the Titans, and the Chiefs are not playing, but in the 14 games taking place, these are my predictions in week 10. I'm taking the Broncos in division overwhelmingly over the Raiders. That'll be a blowout on Thursday. In Germany, I'm taking the Falcons over the Colts. I think Bijan Robinson is a better running back, more complete than Jonathan Taylor. And then in Chicago, I do not trust the Giants defense. I think Ben Johnson's offense will step up again. Give me Caleb Williams and the Bears over the Giants in Chicago. In Miami, the season is already over, but this is the nail in the coffin. The Dolphins lose by blowout yet again to the Bills. And then in Minnesota, the Ravens with their season on the line. No room for error. Get the win and get one step closer to be back to 500. Give me the Ravens over the Vikings. In New Jersey, the Jets host the Browns, and I'm going to trust Quinshon Judkins in a better matchup as opposed to Breece Hall in a terrible matchup against the Browns. The Browns defense is better. Give me Cleveland over the Jets. In Tampa, if they were not coming off a bye, I might take the Patriots, but with no Kayshon Boutte and no ability to run against Vita Vea, give me the Bucks to get the win. The Patriots offense will sputter a little too much. In Carolina, the Panthers coming off a very impressive win, get another win over New Orleans. A little win streak here, but against the Saints, that's an automatic win for everyone. In Houston, the CJ Stroud concussion might be a problem, but I trust the Texans defense. They're a bit too desperate. Give me the Texans to win in division over the Jaguars. In Seattle, they announced themselves as the best team in the division. The Seahawks get the win over Arizona in a blowout. In San Francisco, the Rams are not getting swept, so I'll take Sean McVay to bounce back against the Niners. Niners defense just a little too depleted at this point. They are not beating Sean McVay. In Washington, the Commanders with Mariota not going to get the win over Detroit. The Lions get some revenge after losing to Washington in the playoffs last year. Lastly, on Sunday, the Chargers are hosting Pittsburgh, and with no Joe Alt, TJ Watt should get some sacks. Give me the Steelers over the Chargers on Sunday night. And lastly, on Monday, the Packers with no Tucker Kraft are going to have a rough time throwing against the Eagles, and Saquon Barkley outperforms Josh Jacobs just enough to get the win. Packers lose by a field goal. So those are my picks. In week 10, I'm predicting 8 road teams to get the job done and 6 teams at home to get a win. But there is that Germany game, I guess technically a neutral site for both teams. But that's it for my picks. That's it for week 10. As always, before I let you go, I give you 6 picks against the spread every Monday. So these picks might change as the lines improve or get harder, but at the moment there are 6 bets I like, and hopefully I can do better than 500. But these are the picks. I'm taking the Falcons to win straight up, so they can at least cover 5.5. Even if they lose, I don't think it's by a full touchdown. Give me a field goal type of game. The Falcons-Colts game will be a close one. Give me the Falcons to cover. 5.5 is a lot. In New Jersey, I think it's a pick 'em between the Browns and the Jets, and I think the Browns defense is much better. I also like the matchup a lot more for Quinshon Judkins as opposed to Breece Hall. So with all those factors involved and the Browns getting a 1.5, if they lose, it should be a low-scoring game, and 1.5 point is valuable in that setting. So the Jets, when they did get the win, only beat the Bengals by 1 point, and the Browns defense much better than Cincinnati. I think the Browns win outright. I will take them plus 1.5. As an underdog, they should win. In LA, the home field advantage will not apply at all. The Steelers will have an overwhelming advantage in this one, and that's not going to be a reason to trust LA. With no Joe Alt, I'm surprised that they're actually favored in this matchup. So going to trust Aaron Rodgers, going to trust the Steelers defense. Tomlin as a primetime underdog should step up again. Give me Pittsburgh plus 3. I think they can win outright, not just against the spread. But I do think the Seahawks are not favored by enough here. -7 opens the door for a push, and I think they can completely torch and blow out the Arizona Cardinals. Maybe the Cardinals defense plays a little bit better off the bye week, but the Seahawks are rolling at home. I think the curse has been lifted. I will take Seattle -7. I think they win by 2 touchdowns. But 2 toss-ups. I don't feel great about these picks, but I did pick the Bucs to win straight up, and the line is less than a field goal. That's a key number. As long as it's 2.5, I'll take Tampa to get the win and cover. I think they'll win at the buzzer by a field goal that may prevent overtime. I think the game will be tied, and Chase McLaughlin will kick a field goal and win the game. So Bucs -2.5. I think they cover by a hair. And then lastly, the Rams might not cover 4 points, but definitely get the win. And given how bad the Niners defense is right now, I think the Rams will win by closer to a touchdown than just 3 points. So -3.5. This one feels very risky. I might be wrong on this one, but I'm willing to take a shot. Give me the Rams -3.5. They are not getting swept. That is for sure. So those are my picks. The Falcons to win and cover. Falcons plus 5.5. Same with the Browns plus 1.5. Vegas thinks it's a pick 'em, and then the Chargers are not going to win, so give me the Steelers plus 3. The Seahawks win in a blowout, so -7, not enough. I will eat the points and trust the better team. Give me Seattle -7. And then the Bucs, I think, will win -2.5. I'll take my chances. And same with the Rams. I think they bounce back off the loss earlier in the year. They're not getting swept by the Niners. So that's it for this video. If you enjoyed, hit that like button and subscribe for more content. There's a lot of good matchups I'm really looking forward to. I like that Colts Falcons game in Germany. I also love the Bucs Patriots game in the early morning. In the afternoon, Rams and Niners should be dope. along with Steelers Chargers at night. And then on Monday, the game of the week, Packers Eagles. Going to have at least one awesome matchup in every single time window this week. A lot of fun games. All should be entertaining. Can't wait for week 10. But my name's Adam Riancho. I'll see you next time. And like I said, if you enjoyed, hit that like button and subscribe. But that's it. I'll see you next time. Thank you for watching. Nice and blunt.